As we gather here, the same place, the same time, spiritually, let's get on accord. Let's all fall in line. I'm the philosophical, lyrical, Russian mighty wind, blowing metaphors, similes, and creating mental tailspins. Antoine, what is it that gets in our own way? Hashtags, lives matter slogans, political pundits, maybe our own foot every day. I keep thinking, why are we so easily tired? Tripping over cordless microphone wires? Well, this is JBC. Let us be the spark that starts that fire.
Mm.
How you doing, bruh?
Doing well. I'm doing well about this stuff.
Trying to stay focused, man, in the middle of this jungle. When them
Yeah.
guys made a song a long time ago, sometimes it make me feel, I can't remember the song, the exact lyrics, but it's like, I feel like a jungle sometimes, make me feel like I'm going under. Yo, it's
Yeah.
crazy in this world, man.
It is. It
I was
really
like,
is.
and now I'm staying focused on the topic, but it's like when I saw that second attempted assassination yesterday, I'm like, okay, something's going on.
It's a lot. It's a lot going on. And whew, I mean, that's a loaded statement there with the political arena right now. But yeah, it's some very interesting stuff going on. And as you said, we got to stay focused, yeah, we got to stay focused amongst all this stuff going on right now.
What do you think? And this is a good question to start off. Why is it that, and this goes for rich, poor, whether you have a lot of money, whether you on crack, why can we as a people, as a culture, as a group, why are we losing our focus? What these distractions, what do you think is causing it?
Oh, of course, social media is the major culprit. Back in the day, we didn't have social media, we had the news and whatnot, and that's kind of what we relied on, in reading. Reading is fundamental for those of us who did that. But right now, we have, we still have some that don't, ironically, in this day and time. But, social media right now has really taken things to a whole nother orbit to where it's a lot going on. It's a lot of steam in the room right now. A whole lot of steam in the room.
Yeah, and I could think back because I remember when cell phones first came out, and I remember, we just had the bag phone plugged into your lighter in the car, and that was all you had. And you might have had a beep or something like that, but it's like it was so different because we still survived and we made it. In fact, I remember how we would remember telephone numbers.
Oh, who remembers those now?
No one. If you don't have a phone contact and you ain't in my contacts and it say unknown, you probably won't get an answer.
Yes.
But I guess we become so, and this is a sad thing, and it's me too. We become so dependent upon technology,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
and it's become a distraction.
Yeah. Of course, there's good with bad, but, with good comes bad, and therein, lies the problem,
Yeah,
you distraction.
and I appreciate it for what it did to kind of make things easier to stay in touch with people. I like the fact that every call is no longer a long distance call because Southern Bell is making money off us down in the South, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But as we get into the show, I was thinking about us as a people, and it's like there were so many people who lost their focus, and they ended up paying some dear prices. And that price, I'm like, was it really worth it?
Hmm. That's
Because
that's the question.
yeah, because King David, he was anointed to be this king, and he had to run away from Saul and so forth and so on until he finally got where he needed to be and be the king and start to set Israel up.
Hmm.
And one day they're off at war. You know the story. He on his balcony. She's on her balcony lower than his. She taking a bath. He sees his body. He's like, oh, hold up. Let me holler at you for a minute. In fact, let me put your husband on the front line.
Yeah, he needs to do some work for me, and keep our kingdom safe. It's for the good of the order. It's an admirable thing. He's doing something for all of us.
Right. And in the end, he gets Bathsheba, and then he had to tear his clothes off just to get back in a right place. But it's like, he had a wife, but he saw something that he thought was better. And it's like, I think a lot of us, we see what we have and we don't appreciate the simple things that we do have around us. And we kind of forget things sometimes.
Hmm.
You know, Solomon, what was his problem?
Ha. Uh, Beautiful ladies.
1,000 to be exact.
That's
I don't know what kind of ginger root or what he had going on, but it's like I'm trying to think. Me, I couldn't even imagine trying to satisfy that many women, but he did, and even though he was the wisest man that ever lived, had more money than anyone will ever amount to, it still caused his downfall.
yeah, it did. He lost focus.
But and we know about Samson. He was the strongest man. He's running around kicking people with the jawbone of a donkey. He like, wow, wow. And then all of a sudden, Delilah just, oh, Samson, please tell me, what's your strength?
Yeah.
He lies to her 2 times. Now, I'm just thinking, if you lied to her twice, that means you really didn't trust her. So third time, he's like, look, man, this is what it is. And lo and behold, what happens?
He wakes up and he doesn't have his strength anymore.
Oh, the
Yeah,
single thing in each character we just talked about, female.
females. And and this is not to say that, females is a bad thing,
No,
but it's just you're talking about the vanity that men have. You're talking about men here, not the female. We want to make that
right.
clear. It's
Please
the
understand that, ladies. We're not talking about you. It's like a good word you said, vanity. It's like, well, I can get that too. And it's a lot of us still who have those issues, and a lot of older men, they popping the blue pills every day and paying bills for these younger ladies just so they can say, yeah, I did this, young man. I
right.
don't know. For what? What does it profit you? I don't know. It seems void or vain or meaningless. I don't know.
It really is. It really is, and it can lead to that's a recipe for disaster in your life, other people's lives. It can perpetuate in a whole, you know, variety.
Myriad of things. Yeah, and but I don't. But see, they lost that focus for that one moment, and I can't say I'm like some perfect man because along the way when I was on the radio, yeah, I had issues with it too because I was like, I remember in high school I was kind of wasn't as popular, so to speak. Then I get in this radio station, become super popular, and abuse that. But I had to take a step back. I lost myself for like 2 years,
Mm.
and then I looked at it and I was like, I didn't gain anything at all.
Mm. Yeah, I had a similar story. I was in the military, did some time in the military, first time out of the country, being around exotic, different backgrounds of people. And, I, had my times dancing with the devil as well, so to speak, and, it's a lot out there, but, it's so easy looking retrospectively now, how something so simple can veer you off course from your focus and where you should be in alignment, your alignment.
Yeah, and I can say this now, being still single, I feel like now I can still be able to find a woman who I can settle down with, and we don't have to do the marriage thing. We can just do a common law thing and just have 20, 25 years of happiness together, and I will not feel like I've missed something
Mhm.
in my earlier years. And see, I know a lot of men like, I got to catch up or I got to do this, and I'm saying we are always where we're supposed to be.
At any given time.
And it's understanding that now. And before I even leave the slide, I was thinking about Peter when he walked on water. You remember that story?
Yes.
And when I was reading it in Matthew 14, I think it's verses 22 through 31, and I was reading it, and Jesus said, then went to the side again. He up in the mountains. He was going alone because he needed to get his focus
Mm.
once again. And then he goes out, his boy's out on the sea, and it's wavy and water's coming out there, and he's walking towards him on the water. And they're like, that's a ghost. And they're like, Peter's like, hold up, that ain't no ghost. That's our Messiah. Hey,
Hey.
Messiah, if it be you, tell me to walk to you. So Peter jumps out on the water, starts walking.
Hmm.
And he's good because the person that he was following and the person who was leading him and who was showing him these miracles was out there and he wanted to get to him. But guess what he did, Tuan?
What do you do?
He looked around,
Hmm.
saw the waters and the waves and said, hold up, I'm
Hmm.
walking on water. And then he started to fall.
Hmm. Lost
But
his.
what got me about it, I'm going to share this with you and the other people listening, is when I started reading, I read those verses, but then I went all the way back and said, let me read the whole story to kind of see what set them up to be on this seashore. And what set them up was John the Baptist in the first few verses was beheaded because some beautiful woman danced for the king, and the king said, I'll give you anything you want. And he drunk, he party, he drunk. And because he said it, he had to keep his word to that lady.
Mm.
And when John the Baptist was beheaded, Christ, who was baptized by him, he took off and was like, yo, he had to go take a break because this is the one who baptized him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so when it gets back to it, David, Samson, Solomon, even and the story with Peter walking on the water started off with the woman beheading John the Baptist. So when I see that, it asks me the question, can it be regained or is all lost? That's a question I like to ask you. Can we get back our focus?
Of course, yes. It's never too late. But is there going to be any work? Yes. But what's the sacrifice? And are you willing to make that sacrifice?
It's a choice. And I put up a little formula up here and it says concentration, motivation, manifestation. But what are you concentrating on when you get up in the daytime? I think you were telling me about how you had to sacrifice something because you were trying to get back in the gym, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to get back in the gym. I saw it. I wanted it. It was achievable, but I had to figure out what am I going to give up because in my day, I felt like I didn't have enough time to go to the gym. So that's why I wasn't going to the gym. So I had to look around what's going on in my life? What am I going to give up? What am I going to trade in, in order to create that time to get into the gym? So that's what I did. And come to find out, it was just me just not, to be all honest with you, I was just being lazy, to be honest with you. I kept creating excuses. So sloth, as they say, like one of the sins.
Okay.
So I traded that in, you know, and um and started going to the gym. I went from just making it there. I just wanted to get there because I knew I had my vision, but you have to take small steps, And I remember you saying, you have to do one thing and do it great. Focus on that one thing. So my one thing was getting to the gym. Don't worry about what I'm going to do when I get there. Just get there and get there 4 days a week. When I get there, I'll figure out what to do when I get there. So once I got to a routine of that, I got that squared away, and I figured, okay, well, I want to incorporate some cardio, work my body from the inside out.
Right.
So I started, with 5 minutes on the elliptical, over the course of time, and now stayed focused. Now I'm up to like 3 days a week, 20 minutes, every time I go to the gym so that's where I started, so it was just like starting out small, creating that vision and staying focused. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Were there temptations along the way? Do I want to go hang out? Do I want to go eat? Of course, but I had to keep my eyes on that prize of what I wanted to do. So that was my sacrifice, just giving up that time, that sloth behavior and
Yeah.
remaining focused.
But it takes, and I like what you said, it takes a change of mind as well. And that's why I like this saying by Eckhart Tolle. He said, resistance causes us to dwell in our mind. Acceptance allows us to dwell in the joy of now. And that's when you figured out, okay, not only do I need to work my physical muscles, but I need to work my heart muscle.
Exactly.
5 minutes a day builds up to 20 minutes a day. But now you have a more holistic approach to everything you do, and it affects other areas of your life. And I just want people, if they're listening right now, before you try to do something great and say, I'm gonna just stop drinking, start small. Pick another thing that you know you might be able to do, whether it's eating healthy or reading 5 minutes before you go to bed. It might seem something small, but then that 5 minutes will turn into 20 minutes, and then you might start journaling and writing about it. But now you're doing a more holistic approach to your own healing because mental health is at an all-time high right
Very much so.
now. And that's why, because they're so distracted. There's so many distractions that we never had to deal with in the 80s. The 90s had a little bit more, but as we've gotten more and more with technology, their intention is to distract you.
Exactly.
I mean, so you have to say, I can resist this because if I don't, it's not going to do me well. And if it doesn't do me well, am I really achieving a goal of holistic healing? Because a lot of us can't go to mental health space, or we're too ashamed to do this. So how can we get our own spiritual, mental, and emotional healing? Small steps. And you need to be ambitious, man. What is something that a goal that you were seeking after that you actually have now been able to achieve and be able to build up your regimen that you worked on?
Hmm. Another one, I would say eating healthy, consistently eating healthy. I would have an issue with not eating enough. I would eat the right things, but not enough. So I challenge myself to, like, again, not go full throttle, but challenge myself to, let's say, 7 days out of the week, start with like 2 or 3 days, making sure I'm eating breakfast, you know, and then over the course of time, do that for a month. And then after a month, pick up another day, 4 days a week. So incrementally increase, making it a habit, which then turns into a lifestyle change, you know? So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I've tried to do and have incorporated into my life.
I like how you said that because what we do is really a lifestyle change, and what people desire, they want a lifestyle change, but it seems like they don't want to do the small work in the meantime. And the biggest thing is no one saw you doing it 2 or 3 days, building up to 4 days, building up to a month at a time. No one saw you. So you were the only person to judge whether you're doing right or wrong. And if you were off track, it was up to you to say, let me stay focused.
Exactly.
And see, when I came up with this thing, focus, I saw this someplace and it just said, follow one course until success. FOCUS.
Hmm.
And many of us will try different things. And I'm like, it doesn't have to succeed today, but will I get off track?
I like that.
And you used the word, you said vision. And I'd like to share that vision is not something you see with these natural eyes, family. Vision is what you see with your mind. That's why I say, can you envision yourself? And a lot of people say, well, I just want to be rich or wealthy. I'm thinking, but that's a earthly thinking. You start with something that no one can see, but you'll feel the results of.
Exactly.
And it forced me to come up with, because we'll say daily life has basically handcuffed us with our children, going to the gym, trying to eat healthy. It's like, oh, life is just giving me so many things. Can you minimize it? Is
Mm-hmm.
it worth minimizing is a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do, you'll start living inspired, fully engaged.
Wow.
Living inspired, fully engaged. And see, then it becomes, and I like this word, intentional.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about intentional behavior?
It's targeted behavior with a purpose and a specific outcome. That's what I think about intentional behavior. It's something that you target, you have a vision. You have to have a vision to be intentional about something.
And intentionality is what I had to learn with over my past few years when, like the Alchemist, I took that trip. I was sitting over there playing with the sheep and I was like, okay, they said the treasure was over in blah, blah, blah land and I had to catch a boat. But, I had to catch up with the China guy, help him get his shop better. Didn't make a lot of money with it, but was I willing to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And then after I left the China shop, so to speak, I went on another journey. And it was like I got caught up with a murderer, a literal murderer. Like he killed somebody 2 months after we started living together. But I couldn't change my behavior when I was around him. I knew that he had some anger issues. I didn't know the gravity of it until now.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a protection around me that kept me safe from harm. And I'm thinking, family, I've lived with murderers, stick up guys. I'm talking they 50, they're running into your house with guns, kicking in the door. And this was like, no way. Right in Newport News, Virginia. And I'd
Wow.
rather share these stories with people because I had to follow one course. They were telling me that faith was a punk way of doing things.
Hmm.
Right. I see the look on your face. Why'd you look like that?
Faith was a punk way of doing things. So what was in their minds, the correct approach?
to stick people up and take things and have, and I'm sitting here like, okay, but I'm like, karma comes back quicker, my brother.
And
And
it will.
2024 is coming back a lot faster. So are we being intentional with our day-to-day behavior?
Hmm.
It's a rhetorical question that I want people to sit back and ask you, are you being intentional? Can you start with maybe spending, I'll say something with parents, and they might not like this, but when you pick your son up or when you go home and you see them, ask them, what did they do at school today? Who did they get engaged with? What did they learn that they might can do better? Because once you start to engage with people, then your son and daughter will be able to share more with you and stop looking at everybody else for answers.
Hmm. That's a good one and a big one in today's climate.
It sounds small, but it's like if you they know that you're engaged with them, then they'll be more willing to share and they'll know you have an invested interest in their well-being. And that's
Hmm.
why we do these shows that we do called Just Brothers Chopping, because there are a lot of podcasts out here, and I don't want us to get thrown in the mix of everybody else who has something positive to say. I'm not knocking anyone, but what do you think about this? The intention of where we're going with this show. What do you see? What do you envision for us?
I envision for us to just basically create practical, come up with practical approaches, to life that, nothing to save the world, nothing extravagant. These are just day-to-day things that we've lived and we're going through, that we've applied simple things, like I brought up the idea about how I got into the gym and, it made it a lifestyle change, how I started eating, making a lifestyle change. That may not be you, but the process and going about it, the vision that came about it, could be something that could help someone to say, hey, well, this is something going in my life. This is a change I want to make. And I can just start small. And doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be big. Just do part one. And part one will lead to part two. So I feel like, just taking that approach and bringing practical real life experiences could be very helpful. And again, if it works for you, great, bless you, take it and run with it. If not, hey, just sit here and hear us chop it up. Hopefully we'll say something that'll get into your system.
Yeah, and I pray that people will listen and know that, right now where I stand, I could have chosen a totally different path if I'd stayed on the radio station in 2001. Now, you think about it, that's 23 years ago. I still think about that move that I made because I wanted to do something different and it didn't involve being in front of a bunch of crowds and saying, hey, go party, go. It was okay, but the time and season had run out. Now I could have made it go longer, but I'm glad I took the path that I took because it's taught me so much about myself
Mhm.
by being around sixth graders, fourth graders, and I had to listen to them and I had to be humble, which is for adults like, do as I say, not as I do.
Right. He's
I didn't,
dead.
that
Ugh.
formula was not going to be successful in order for me to give them fully engaged.
Mhm.
And I learned that allowing them to help me navigate the energy in the room, I had 16 years of successful teaching every year.
Hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean everybody made the honor roll.
Mhm.
But when they see me, they say, "Oh, Mr. Renaissance, I remember you, man. We had fun." Saw a guy in the Family Dollar the other day, and he's like, "Man, yeah, they ain't got students like us no more." And I was like, "Yeah, that's why I take the tutor role now, which I enjoy, but it's still, I still get to live inspired, and I'm fully engaged because I love that community of young mind." And I mean, the reason why we do this show is I want parents to start taking your kids back. I mean, really, I'll be honest with you. I want us to take our youth back because we're losing them to too many simple things that could be eradicated if we just spent time.
Right.
So, and I want us to be intentional. It's like, well, I can't go to the club. I can't do this. I don't know, but I keep seeing club shootings. And I'm like, why do you want to go there? Oh, I need to get my drink on. I need to get my, why? Oh, because society told you you need to do this between now and 40. Because if you don't, you miss something.
Right. It's a bad joke, bad trick, and a bad horrible lie.
Yeah, but But people have still used that as their reasoning for why they do what they do. And I'm thinking
Mm.
that unless these things change, we cannot expect different results. It's called insanity.
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Yeah. But I just thank you for sharing. And like we say, we're just bros chopping. And I'm glad we took the chance to do this focus. And I can tell you guys who are there watching, we already did this show, but somehow the video didn't come up. But it was like this show was too important for us to not present this information, allow you to take it and do what you want with it, and hopefully grow. And any last closing words you got for the people, family?
Oh, nothing at all. We love you all, and to piggyback off what you said, we want you to grow. That which doesn't grow dies.
Yep, and we're about growing here at Just Brothers Chopping. We thank you for watching us. And of course, we'll be back with a show soon. Leave them comments. And, I'm not going to, you can subscribe, share, whatever you do, but just let us know what you're thinking, ideas, and we'll be able to maybe pass that on and keep the flow going.
Praises and continual thanks to everyone who shared in this moment of refreshing water, bringing life and light to our souls. This has been TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles, a hustle flow